Time is money, friend.
She'll be cooking that sound.
Hottest producer around.
Clap. Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Dumisani Theletsane. Welcome to it. This is a Snoopcheck, episode number 3. And today I'm not riding alone. I've got Catherine Grenfell, man. She was our lecturer, Radio 2 lecturer at Boston Media House. And now she's at Audio Militia. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's Audio Militia or Audio Militia in Boston. Hey, she's been in the industry for the longest of time, man. I'm not here to grill her. We're here to chill, man, to have a great time, talk about radio, talk about the mistakes you make. This is episode number 3, stroke number 2. And I understand why I'm saying that. Catherine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Fantastic.
That's excellent.
There's something I forgot to do here. I forgot to click record.
So let's do it again.
No, it's fine. We're going to use the audio from the cameras.
No problem.
How have you been?
I'm really, really good.
Yes.
I've missed lecturing.
Uh-huh.
It really is it's amazing to be able to see some of my old students on social media doing cool things, and look at us now sitting here. You're interviewing me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be remembering back to our interview lecture and checking that you made sure that you took notes.
And listen.
Yes, and that you listened. But I'm really good. I started working at Audio Militia about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was quite a big jump for me because I'd been freelancing before that, and obviously being in the radio industry.
Yeah.
But music has also always been my passion. So music alongside radio. And so it was quite an easy jump to come into sort of a space where we are composing music for ads. Yeah. I feel like I've taken all of my knowledge from working in the radio industry, as well as working with musicians, as well as doing production, as well as lecturing. I've taken all of that knowledge that I've gained and I've put it into where I am now. So I am very, very happy where I am. And I think that it's really important throughout your career to change and evolve and try out new things and really just keep your brain moving, especially as you get older.
Okay, then let's talk about radio. You know, BMH radio presenters have an audacity to go to the history and play a song that's been played before. Mm-hmm. They think that having a great having a great show is about kickstarting the show with a bubbly song. I've seen it before. After my shows, you can see that a certain presenter played a certain song, and then a presenter after that is going to play the same song, forgetting that a listener is getting over that song quickly. And it's a big song at that moment.
Yeah.
What is wrong with that? Why do they think that having a great show is about having a bubbly song on your playlist?
So I think in terms of, it is one of the things that I did chat about, is that coming out of an ad break or perhaps starting your show, you start with an uplifting moment.
Yes.
So you want to start off as positive as possible. So that's perhaps why they're choosing a positive song. What is important though is to do research beforehand and make sure that the show before you didn't have the same opening track. I mean, that's part and parcel of being a good producer and a presenter, is to make sure that you've done your research. So yes, go for it. Do a bubbly, upbeat track so that it sets the tone of your entire show. But you need to make sure that it hasn't just been played. So, I mean, if you weren't listening to the show before yours, and the person before you played the song 3 minutes, let's say 5 minutes beforehand, and then you go and play the same song, that is an epic fail. So it is really important as well in terms of, I think that's where, it's great to have presenters that have musical tastes and are coming up with their own songs that they want to play for their show. But there needs to be some form of monitoring in that sense. When it comes to commercial radio, there is a specific person that programs radio so that there isn't that problem. And they make sure that like all the tracks are played at certain times and it's not like immediate. So it is definitely doing some research, but I'm all for starting the show with an upbeat vibe. But I also think it needs to relate to what your show content is going to be about. You perhaps might not even start your show on an upbeat. It might be that something has happened in the entire world and you are cognizant of that fact.
Yes.
So therefore, the show is not... When Nelson Mandela died, we're not playing happy, upbeat songs the whole day.
Yes.
We are mourning this human being that has passed on.
Yeah.
So therefore, we have to look at all of those elements.
But you know what my problem is? My problem is going to the history and dragging that song all the way to Genesis and play it again.
Yes.
That means you are aware that this song has been played before, and then you want to play it because you want to, you want to get into the mood.
Absolutely. So I do hear what you're saying, but also there comes a time where you have to focus on your own show. So as long as you're not doing that, then you're all fine.
Now, I want us to talk about speaking over each other. Now we have about 5 people in one studio. You've got your presenter, co-host, news, sports, and what else? Traffic, I think.
Traffic, maybe a guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, as a presenter, you want to get a contribution from every one of them. I listened to The Weekender by Moji, and I listened to Monate Breakfast of Lesedi FM. They speak over each other. It's a chaos. Even Moji, there was this time, I don't want to use working from home as an excuse because they can't see each other, but there are presenters that work from home, but there's no chaos.
Yeah.
Speaking over each other, it makes it difficult even for the sound engineer, to get those great moments, the rapport, and then chop it up and edit it to make something nice, a promo for the show. Why are we not listening to each other? Why are we not giving each other an ample time to speak, and then it's your turn to speak? Why is there chaos?
Because people want to shine. People want to be the main person. No, it is. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
It really is. It's one of the biggest things that you have to make sure doesn't happen when there are a whole bunch of people.
Yes.
So this trend of having a lot of different people speaking on a show, so voicing their opinions, etc. This is where Snoop sessions, so Snoop sessions, for those that don't know, are sessions where you listen back to your show and you criticize your show so that you can make it better. The fact is that a program manager should be doing that, and they should definitely be saying to everyone, why are you talking over each other?
Yes.
Actually, when you've got everyone in the studio listening back to the audio, they will be able to hear it immediately.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest switch off your radio factors is when you cannot actually hear what people are saying and everyone is talking over each other. So the way around this is to have lots of show meetings and to have an understanding between every single person that is on that show. The main host is the main host. So they should be the one that is speaking, and they can be asking the questions. Yes, it is difficult during COVID because there are people that are at home, but then it's very specific that you use the person's name. So if the newsreader is Thabo, you like, Thabo, what do you think about the elections in the USA or whatever? So you're being very, very specific. So there's factors here. There's the main host that needs to direct their questions to specific people.
Yeah.
Where if you're in the studio, you're looking at that person and you're like, what do you think? So they've got it. There's like unseen rules, so that you're looking and you chat beforehand to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Also, explaining to the different presenters, so the sport, etc., and saying to them, do not speak over each other. Wait for the other person to finish. And it's a skill that people need to master, is to listen. And it does become difficult when you're like getting all excited and you have an opinion and you want to try and get in there. So it is about learning self-control and making sure, because your point is never going to come across if you haven't given the other person a chance to speak and you're speaking over them. So this is where pre-preparation of a show comes in. You cannot just arrive at a show. Also, another important thing to chat about beforehand is to explain to the people that are on your show is to say, you don't always have to answer. So let's say, for instance, the host is talking about the US elections, okay? And the sports presenter doesn't care less. Yeah. All they care about is like watching soccer and that's it, whatever the case is. So they don't care. They don't need to answer unless they're going to perhaps say something funny, right? Or they've got something to add. Not every person has something to add, and you don't have to go to each person and say, what is your opinion? What is your opinion? What is your opinion? Boring. Just like get the best elements, like speak to your co-hosts, etc., and say, answer if you've got something amazing to say. And it really is, this is about being confident in your position on the radio station, that you don't have to shine all the time. I mean, there's a very famous presenter that when he started on a new show, I actually stopped listening because the co-host just kept on talking over him. Yeah. And I was like, wow, number one, you are still the co-host. Therefore, like, the main presenter should be holding this show together. And it's just such a turn-off because I was like, what is she going to say next? Because it was also like there was just stupid stuff being said. It wasn't even like anything of substance that I wanted to hear what she was saying.
And you know why I use, I said I don't want to use lockdown or working from home as an excuse, because there's afternoon drive of Lesedi FM.
Yeah.
What do we call it? Kubelet.
Yeah.
They are not working from the same studio.
Yes.
The other one is in Bloemfontein and the other one is in Johannesburg, M1 studio.
Amazing.
And they are not speaking over each other. It's a presenter and a co-host, and sometimes they would bring in the sports presenter and the producer of the show. They're not speaking over each other. And then you listen to Breakfast Club of 947. It's like 5 of them in the same studio. They're not speaking over each other. And then you as a Lesedi FM, you say you want to claim your number one spot of top radio stations in South Africa. But you're making silly mistakes.
Yeah.
Why are you not reprimanding your radio presenters? I mean, we're talking about a breakfast here, Catherine.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not a what do you call it? Graveyard.
Yeah.
Now, why is it so difficult for other presenters to get this habit of saying "you guys" off their tongue instead of addressing one person? And here at BMH Radio, sure, you guys,
everyone is you guys.
Yeah.
I think you know what happens is that it's how we speak. So you're like, even if you're like in a group at a bar, you're like, oh my gosh, you guys, do you know what happened to me the other day?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it like follows through. So it's also about being aware of those things. And I can tell you now that the best thing to do is to listen to your shows after you've done them.
Yeah.
That is the way that you are going to learn. I used to listen to my shows and go, oh, I used awesome about 20 times. That was such an awesome song. Oh, I've got this awesome band coming into studio. This is so awesome.
Yeah.
It's terrible. You have to listen back to your shows. You've got to write it down. I used to, so I would listen back to my shows. I would write down all the stuff that I did. So then, instead of using awesome, I had a book in front of me and I had other words that I could like maybe use instead of awesome. And I would scratch out awesome. No, I'm not using awesome.
Yes.
So it is, you shouldn't be saying you guys. It's very like, and especially in this day and age when everyone is so woke, right? Guys is not a word that like people are like relating to anymore. It's like a community. Do you know what I mean? We're not looking at that, but it is about going back and listening to your audio and like making the changes. You have to want to strive to be better. You have to want to make sure that you are giving your best. So if you're not re-listening to to your audio and like making sure that you're fixing your mistakes, then it's going to be constantly you guys. Remember, the people that are listening at home, you want to feel like the presenter is talking to you. Yeah. So that's why we say, I hope you are doing okay during this lockdown. Because it becomes this massive personal thing. The presenter is talking to me, not to just everyone.
Yeah.
I feel this connection.
Let's talk about trendsetters on radio. But you of Lesedi FM, when you were still doing afternoon drive, he started with this movement of playing amapiano songs on Mondays, and then other radio stations followed suit. And now there's this thing of leaving your listener with word of the day, just 5 minutes before the show ends. DJ Fresh does it, Thabo Mokone does it off Lesedi FM. Catherine, why are people copying?
Features.
That's not a feature.
Yeah. Well, it is a feature because that's what they've decided to do every single time at the end of their show, is this word of the day.
And DJ Fresh is your friend, eh?
He is my friend. But the reality is that I'm in a very different space now when it comes to radio because I've left that space. So now I'm really a listener.
Oh, yeah.
And I hear it's terrible. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I don't really listen to a lot of radio anymore.
Uh-huh.
Because there's nothing that is drawing me to radio, but that's a completely different conversation. We're talking about now. We're talking about the features and that like people are copying each other. I think things like word of the day, it's very done. It's so old. It's like, it's so safe and it's so boring. I really think that like, we could be thinking about really amazing features. I love trendsetters are amazing. I'm a piano, playing that from the beginning, getting on the ball, like playing it. Absolutely amazing. People are going to copy you though. Trendsetters, there's going to be people that copy, right? It was the same when we worked on the Fresh Drive and we had the Ultimix at 6. It was the biggest feature in all of radio. It had the highest listenership across the entire country, right? And then obviously at different radio stations hear that and then they want to compete with it because they've got to like make a plan.
Yeah.
So I think there was like YFM then started a mixed show at 6 o'clock as well, trying to get their listeners back. So you're going to trend. People are going to want to like do the same thing. I mean, it's the same as fashion. Someone like wears something, then everyone is buying it. It's the same. It's all the same thing. There's going to be trends. But the reality is that when it comes to features and something like word of the day, wow. For the last 100 years of radio, people have been doing word of the day. We've got to come up with something new there.
What is the difference between the coolest radio station and the station of the year? Because now Lesedi FM is on top 4 of coolest radio station. I think number 1 is Ukhozi, number 2 is Metro, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember what number 3 is, but Lesedi FM is number 4. And then you've got Kai FM as a station of the year. 2 consecutive years, 2019 and 2020. But Kai FM is not in the top 4 of the coolest radio stations. What's the difference between the two?
So for me, I mean, I don't actually know the actual reason behind it. But for me, when it comes to station of the year, they tick every single box in a sense. And it's definitely not sort of a youth radio station. So it often is like adult contemporary radio station, where they're ticking the boxes in terms of the promos that they're doing, the content that they're putting out, the music that they're putting out, etc. And there's a specific idea in your head about Kai FM. So to me, if I'm listening to Kai FM, I know that I'm going to be getting like absolutely incredible music, and I'm going to be getting great content and interesting stories. Right? When it comes to coolest radio station of the year, then that to me, it's in that word, coolest. Like, you edgy, you are like doing fun stuff, and that sort of thing. And I don't think that's where like a radio station like Kai FM is sitting. They're there for like solid content, really great, amazing music. And then the coolest radio station will definitely then be something like a Metro FM, where they've got young sort of edgy presenters, also bringing in younger audience. They've got the specific music that they're playing. They do try and like obviously play some of the new hits that are coming out, etc. So that's where I would see the difference.
We're wrapping up now. As a presenter, how do you know that you're doing a great thing? How do you know that you're doing a good job? How do you know that you are on the right track? How do you know, Guti, this feature is working for my show? You know what, I need to change this feature. It doesn't work anymore. I need to try a new one. How do you know? How do you know all that?
So I think we're very, very lucky in this day and age that you've got social media. So you can get feedback immediately. A long time ago, you were just looking at Rams figures, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, Rams figures is evolving, and there's like new ways of looking at who the listenership is. But you can definitely, in terms of the Rams figures, and I actually forget what the new name is. I think there's Rams figures and there's something else. But they can actually check exactly what's happening at what time. So for example, the afternoon fresh drive, when we were on there was a spike for the cheese of the day at 5:30.
Okay.
And then there was another spike for the Ultimix at 6.
Yes.
So you could definitely, it was like definite, you could see it on a graph, who was like listening in. But now you can monitor, and I mean, obviously there was also social media then, but you can definitely see people communicating with you, saying, like, interacting. Cheese of the day for people that were either emailing in, SMSing in, calling in, tweeting, getting in touch with you via Facebook or Instagram to say to you, like, this is the cheese that I want to listen to, or whatever the case the feature is, and that sort of thing. So putting it out there, asking people, like, what is their reaction? When people stop being interested, or you start getting negative feedback, yes, it's like you can't listen to every single person, right?
Yes.
But if there's loads of people that are starting to message and say, it's boring. Also do surveys. Like, go out, like, message your friends, like, say to them, listen to my show, tell me what you think about the different features. Really get that sort of feedback from a whole bunch of different people, not always people that you know. Perhaps if you're doing Boston Media House Radio, then go on campus, say, what do you think of the feature that I do? How could I improve it? It's the only way that you're going to improve as a presenter is to get feedback, and if it's like negative or positive, using that to your advantage. And also listen to your own show over and over. Listen to it back, and you will know. Because you're the most honest person with yourself. You will hear if it sounds terrible or not.
I also have this habit of saying men over and over again. But I want to see if you and I are on the same page. Telephonic interviews are boring.
They're boring because...
Especially if you drag it out.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, any interview is boring if you drag it out.
Okay.
You have to know when to stop.
Yeah.
If you're getting bored asking the questions, can you imagine how bored your audience is? And you're sitting there or you're listening, it's your show.
Yeah.
So know when to stop. If you're the person that you're interviewing, really listen to them when you're interviewing them. If it starts sounding a bit boring, if they're sounding bored, cut the interview.
But the reason why I'm asking you this is Thabo Mokoni.
Yeah.
Not Mokoni, Mukweli of KFM. He would bring in a guest and then interview that guest for 1 hour.
Yes.
And now during lockdown, hot lockdown, level 5, level 4, he couldn't do that. So he had to do it telephonic.
Yeah.
And he still did the same thing. Telephonic, 1 hour. Is it wrong to do a 1 hour interview?
So, well, I mean, it depends what your station's format is.
It's commercial.
Well, you
commercial,
see the thing
with commercial radio station, Cath.
Yeah.
Talk radio start at 6.
Yes.
In the evening.
Yeah.
All the way to 9 maybe.
Yeah.
But you're gonna drag out your interview on a commercial radio station on mid.
But are they playing music in between?
Yes.
Yes. So then it's fine. We also used to do hour interviews. We would have a person in for an hour. And then you're like, it's little snippets because you're playing, it depends how your format works. So we would play quite a bit of music, but then 5-minute little chat here, some more music, an advert, 5-minute more chat. So actually it works out to only maybe 20 minutes, 20 minutes of talking. When it comes to a station like Kaya FM, they have, even though it's like it could be a commercial station, they have quite a different format where they like have a very good balance between talk and music.
Okay.
So they do have a little bit more talk than perhaps a Metro FM or a 5FM or a Y.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at it like that. And the reality is that you could have someone on for 2 hours if it is great content. I remember there were times that we would have people we were interviewing them, and I didn't want the interview to end. It was super amazing. People were like calling in. They were like, don't end the interview. Leave the person. But it's like a little bit of music and chatting and a little bit of music. So in essence, you might think it's like a very long time, an hour, but you're not solidly talking for 1 hour. So it is different as long as the content is amazing.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah.
It's just that other people are against it.
Yes.
But as long as there are music in between.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for
It's
your
a
time.
pleasure.
Pleasure.
You're making me proud.
You did you hear it? It's a wrap. Episode number 3, stroke 2, with Catherine Grenfell. It's a wrap, man. Lovely stuff. Dumisani Theletsane.
I remember this laugh.
Oh, you remember it?
Yes.
This laugh kills me, man. It just kills me.
Yeah.